Hi guys, we'll start at 5 past. So a few more minutes, please. Okay, we'll get going, guys. The theme again is it's listening. I hope it's useful for you. Any questions at the end, please? Thank you.
You will hear a conversation between an assistant at a health club and a man who wants to join the club. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 5.
Now listen and answer questions 1 to 5.
Hi, can I help you?
Hello. Yes, is your club taking on new members at the moment?
Oh, yes. We're always interested in taking on new members. Just give me a moment and I'll get an application form. Right, here we are. So, let's start with your name.
It's Harry.
Okay. And your surname?
It's Simons.
Is that like Simon with an S?
No, it's Symonds. Most people find it rather difficult to spell.
I see. It has a silent D. I guess a lot of people miss that. Now, let me see. Can you tell me when you were born?
Yes, certainly. The 11th of December.
Thanks. And the year?
1996.
Okay, good. Now, are you thinking of becoming a full-time member?
Probably not. What kind of memberships do you have?
Well, we also have off-peak membership, which is between 9 and 12 in the morning and 2 and 5 in the afternoon. And then we do have a weekend membership.
So a weekend membership is just Saturday and Sunday?
Yes, that's right.
Okay. Well, that's not going to work for me. It looks like I'll have to be full-time. I'm afraid off-peak membership won't do, as I'm not free at those times. And I don't just want to be restricted to weekends.
Okay, I'll make a note of that. Right, we have several facilities at the club, including a gym, a swimming pool, tennis and squash courts. What activities are you planning on doing?
Well, do you have badminton?
Yes, we do.
And table tennis?
I'm afraid not. Well, not at the moment, anyway.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm also very keen on swimming, so I'm glad you have a pool. I'll certainly be doing a lot of that.
Okay, I've got that. Will you be using the gym?
No, I'm not interested in that.
Okay, so just let me work out what the cost will be. Yes, that comes to £450 for the year. You can choose to pay annually for the full year or monthly. It's up to you.
Oh, I'd prefer to pay regularly in small amounts, rather than have a large amount to pay in one go, if that's okay.
Sure, that's fine. Right, I've got the most important details for now.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you will have some time to look at the questions 6 to 10. Now listen and answer questions 6 to 10.
So, I'd just like to ask you a few questions about your lifestyle, if that's okay with you.
Yes, that's fine.
Do you do any regular exercise at the moment?
Yes, I do a bit.
Good. And what do you do?
Well, every few days I go jogging.
Yes, that's good. How long do you go for?
Well, it varies. I guess it depends on how energetic I'm feeling.
Yes, of course. Every little bit helps. Do you have any injuries at the moment?
Well, I did break a bone in my foot playing football a long time ago, but that's all healed up now. But in the last few days, I've realized I have a bad ankle. I think I must have injured it last week, and it's a bit sore now. But apart from that, I'm fine.
Right. I guess you might need to rest it for a few days to let it recover.
Yes, I will.
So, let me just ask you what you want to achieve by joining the club. Do you have any targets or goals?
Well, I suppose my main aim is to build up my fitness level. Is that the kind of thing you mean?
Yes, that's fine. All the activities you're going to be doing should certainly help you with that.
Okay.
And could you tell me what you do for a living?
Well, I was a student up until recently.
Okay, so what are you doing at the moment?
Well, I'm a charity worker.
Oh, that's fine. I'll write that down. Okay, nearly done. One last question. Can I ask how you heard about the club? Did you see it advertised or did you go to our website, for example?
Well, I've been looking for a health club for a while, and I asked my friends for suggestions, but they weren't much help. And then I was listening to the radio, and your club was mentioned. So I thought, I'll go along and see what it's like.
Great. Well, we look forward to having you as a member.
That is the end of section 1. You now have half a minute to check your answers. Now turn to section 2. You will hear a hotel manager talking to her staff about the arrangements for an event to be held at the weekend.
First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 14. Now listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 14.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you're all feeling okay after the activities of the last week or so. I know you've all been working very hard recently, and we've been exceptionally busy, especially with the wedding last weekend and the trade fair straight after that. And now we have only 3 days to prepare for the birthday party this weekend. The events recently have gone extremely well, and the hotel is beginning to get a very good reputation, so we need to keep it up. At the moment, we don't have exact numbers of guests, and though we usually only cater for groups of less than 50, we will have quite a few more than that. So, as I said, not sure of numbers, but of course we won't go over the maximum of 100. But it's likely that we will need all of you to work this weekend, so if any of you can't, please let me know as soon as possible. Right, so what time will the event start? Well, the invitation says guests should arrive between 7:30 and 7:45, but our experience is that there are always a few who like to arrive early, so we'll expect the first people at 7:15. As the numbers are quite large, this will certainly be the case. Food will be served at around 8:30, and then, depending on how long the meal takes, the entertainment will start about 2 hours later. Now, for this, we were expecting a live band for the occasion, which is always fun. But apparently this has been cancelled due to illness. So, the hosts know someone who is a comedian who will be replacing the band. We had hoped that the resident magician who worked here through the summer would be able to help out, but they weren't keen on that idea.
Before you hear the rest of the talk, you have some time to look at questions 15 to 20. Now listen and answer questions 15 to 20.
So, I'd just like to go through who's doing what when the guests arrive, and I think we'll make a few changes from the last party held here. If I remember correctly, it was Olav who coordinated the task of providing the guests with drinks. Or was it Ahmed? I'm not sure, but Gary asked to do it this time, so that will be his job. There's been no decision yet on what the drinks are going to be, but I hope they decide soon in case we need to order something special. Now, for receiving the guests' coats and hats, it's important we have someone experienced doing this, as we don't want guests losing their belongings. And Monica, last time this was your responsibility. Susan, I know you wanted to do this, but as the numbers are quite high for this event, I won't make a change here. Right. Now, last time there was some confusion as to where guests were supposed to go once they had deposited their things, and we had guests roaming around the whole hotel. So, Ahmed and Olav, I believe you discussed the problems with Susan and thought she would be good at guiding guests after they had arrived. And I'm fine with that. Right, and now for some general instructions. Once the guests have arrived, they will be in and around the lounge area, and then at around 8:30, we need to get them to move to the restaurant for their meal. This often proves difficult and can take a long time, so I will ring a bell so that everyone knows it's time to eat. Hopefully, this will speed things up a bit. Also, for this event, there'll be a seating plan, so the guests won't be able to decide for themselves where to sit. They'll have to sit according to the plan. There will be a plan on each table, and I've been thinking about where to put the master plan so everyone can view it before they enter the restaurant. As they'll be spending quite a while in the lounge, I've decided to also put a plan there. This should speed up the start of the meal. Once the meal starts, you'll all be very busy waiting on the tables, and I'm sure I don't need to tell you to be good-humoured and polite to all the guests. The organiser of the event will be saying a few words, and so will two of his colleagues. So, when the speeches start, all activity must stop in the restaurant, so that the three people giving them can be heard. This shouldn't take long, and it should be towards the end of the meal. After that, the guests will move back to the lounge for the entertainment. So, I think that's it. Any questions? Come and see me later.
That is the end of section 2. You now have half a minute to check your answers. Now turn to section 3. You will hear two students discussing an assignment. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 25.
Now listen and answer questions 21 to 25.
Hi, Melanie. What did you think of the assignment that we got today? It looks interesting, doesn't it?
Yes, Ellen. I've always been interested in recycling, but there's a lot of research to do.
Yes, there are a lot of things I'm unsure of, so it's going to be good working with you.
OK. Well, why don't we start by making a flowchart from the notes our tutor gave us?
Yes. So on one side we could have the paper production cycle here on the left, and on the other side the recycling.
Good idea. Let's start at the top with the production. The first step in the process is to get the raw materials.
Yes, and they tend to come from pine forests.
OK. And then the bark is removed from the outside of the tree, and after that, the wood is chopped up. That's the first 3 stages.
It sounds a bit complicated after that. It says water is added, and then the mixture is heated and made into pulp. This will be the thick paste that is used to make paper.
Yes, you're right, because after that they use a machine to make the paper, and we can put that right in the centre of the flowchart, because it's also where the recycled paper joins the process.
Yes. So, once the paper has been produced in the machine, what happens then?
Well, I think we should write print as the next step, because this is when newspapers, magazines, etc. are produced. And we could also add that they have to be distributed to stores and people's homes.
Right. Then the recycling bit starts. The old paper's collected, and then it says it's taken somewhere so that someone or something can sort it. I imagine there are different kinds of paper, or things like paper clips that need to be removed.
Yes. Let's have a step after that. Now, how did our tutor say they do this? Oh yes, it involves chemicals. So, how is your chemistry?
Well, not very good, I'm afraid. But this is how they remove ink, so this is definitely going to need a bit of research.
Right. The last step in the recycling section is similar to the last step in the production process, with heating and pulping, before the cycle begins again.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 26 to 30.
Now listen and answer questions 26 to 30.
So, I think going through the processes helped. Now we need to decide how we're going to do this assignment.
Yes. I guess what we need to do is take the processes and divide them up between us. But we could start thinking about an introduction.
Yes, okay. Well, I can start doing that. I think I have enough to go on already.
Good. And there are a few areas where we need a lot more information. I think I'll start with something easy. Let's say the paper collection. I could go to the resource centre to do some research.
Well, I think a better idea would be to approach someone who's involved in the process. What about contacting the council?
Oh, good idea. Yes, I'll do that instead. They're bound to have some information. And I know just the thing to add to our work to make it even more interesting.
And what's that?
Well, in my last assignment, I added a few pictures, and the feedback I got was that this wasn't academic enough. So what might really bring it to life would be to include some data, provided we can find some.
Yes, that sounds excellent. Well, we certainly have a lot to do, and not much time to do it in.
You're right. I think we have about 5 weeks, so I suggest we create a plan of work today. The end of the month is nearly 3 weeks away, and then we have a few days holiday.
Yes, so let's see if we can get the first draft done by then, so we can take a short break.
Okay. Then after the break, we'll have just over a week to complete it. I wonder if we could get someone to review our work for us a few days before the deadline, so we can make some final changes. What about your friend, Henry?
Well, the best person would be our tutor. Henry's very good, but he's taking a whole week's holiday, and there won't be enough time when he returns.
Okay then, that's fine.
That is the end of section 3. You now have half a minute to check your answers. Now turn to section 4. You will hear a lecture about hair. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
Good morning, and welcome to this lecture on hair, which is a part of the human biology course. This lecture covers a number of facts about hair, its structure, and what can affect the general health of hair. So, first of all, what is hair, and why do we have it? If we look back at our ancestors, we'll see that they had a lot more hair on their bodies than we do now. And there are, or were, 2 main reasons for having hair. One is to provide warmth, but as humans have worn clothes for many years, body hair has significantly reduced. The other is for protection. And again, this isn't as significant as it was once, but hair does still benefit areas of the body, such as the head and around the eyes. Now, hair, whatever it is for and wherever it is on the human body, is composed mainly of a protein called keratin. This, by the way, is also found in fingernails. In fact, it's keratin which makes them flexible, and without it they would be very rigid. Another interesting fact about hair is that it is very strong. as strong as iron, in fact. One single strand can support a weight of up to 100 grams. This may not sound all that much, but a full head of hair can support up to 12 tons, which is the equivalent of a couple of elephants, which is simply amazing, though I advise you not to put this to the test. Humans lose up to 100 strands of hair a day, but we do have quite a lot of hair to start with. There's some variation depending on hair color, but for an average adult, the strand count is 100,000, so losing 100 a day is not too bad. Although this is the average, people with red hair have around 80,000 strands, black or brown hair 100,000, and blondes have about 120,000. So, hair used to be important for the reasons I mentioned earlier, but nowadays I'd say the main importance of hair is the fact that it is big business. Apart from the money involved in hair cutting, shaving, trimming, etc., a fortune is spent just on hair products. In the UK alone, consumers spend over £5 billion each year on these. So next, I'd like to just give you a quick overview of the structure of hair. As you can see, along the length of the hair, there are three main parts, called the bulb, the root, and the shaft. A single hair is fixed at one end below the skin in the bulb. The bulb acts rather like a cap. It encloses the end of the hair in the head. The next part of the hair is the root, and this is the part of the hair which lies just beneath the skin, and, in terms of hair production, is the most important. This can be considered the control center for each strand of hair, and is where the glands are found. These produce oil, which flows along the length of the hair, and the health of the root determines the overall health of the strand of hair. The last part is the shaft, and this is the hair which is above the skin, and is, of course, what we can see. Fortunately, this is not active, and I say fortunately because otherwise it would be very painful to have your hair cut. And finally, I'd just like to go over a few factors that impact on the overall health of hair. Like every other part of the body, our diet, that is, what we eat, is extremely important to the condition of our hair. But whereas a change in your diet to, for example, eating unhealthy foods will soon be noticeable in your skin, changes to your hair will take a lot longer. A change in diet today could take several months to have an effect on your hair. And so, what is the key to healthy hair? Well, eating a balanced diet is the most important thing. There are a number of vitamins that are vital for good hair health. The main ones being vitamins C, D, and E. And in a balanced diet, all these vitamins should be readily available. If you need a boost of vitamin C, for example, one of the best things to eat are blueberries. For vitamin D, the best examples are fish, mushrooms, and eggs. And for vitamin E, nuts and seeds. Right. So let's go on to what it...
That is the end of section 4. You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Sorry, guys. I'm something up. Right, trying to fix.
That 95% of IELTS students are preparing completely wrong for the IELTS listening test. They practice for hours, they memorize vocabulary, they do mock test after mock test, and they still fail. But Band 9 students that we work with, they don't have better English than you. They don't have secret hacks or shortcuts. They understand things about the listening test format that others don't. So today I'll show you exactly what they know and how they use this information to prepare differently for the test. But first, let me show you the biggest misconception that keeps most students stuck at a low level. The test has 40 questions split across 4 parts of the listening test. And Band 9 students know something crucial. These parts aren't random. They follow a specific difficulty curve that you can use to your advantage. Parts 1 and 2 are deliberately easier. But parts 3 and 4, this is where the real game begins. This is where Band 7 students hit a wall, while Band 9 students shine. And the difference isn't natural ability, it's preparation strategy that anyone can copy. So during their preparation, Band 9 students will spend about 20% of their practice time on parts 1 and 2, just maintaining that high level they already have. 80% of their practice time in preparation will be on parts 3 and 4. Most students do the opposite. They practice all parts equally, wasting precious time on easier sections while neglecting the parts that actually determine their final score. But knowing the format isn't enough. They understand the specific personality of each section and train accordingly. Part 1 seems simple. It's normally 2 people talking, usually on the phone, exchanging basic information like phone numbers or dates. But here's what catches most students. This isn't how we normally listen to English. When was the last time you intensely focused on someone spelling out a license plate number or a phone number? Band 9 students know this is an artificial listening situation. So instead of practicing general listening to podcasts and things like that, they specifically train for form-filling scenarios using the official Cambridge test. They become machines at catching numbers, addresses, and spelled out information so that when it comes up, they can do it automatically. Part 2 then shifts to one person talking about a social topic. Most students think, great, this is like real life. But Band 9 students recognize this trap. In real conversations, you can ask for clarification. You can ask, what do you mean? Here you only get one shot. They won't repeat things. So the Band 9 students' secret weapon is they listen to solo podcasts and YouTube channels, but not IELTS content because, let's be honest, IELTS is extremely boring. They choose topics they love, turning their commute or their lunch break into stealth IELTS preparation. In part 3, this is where the test starts to get serious. Multiple speakers in an academic setting, often interrupting each other, agreeing, disagreeing, building on points. Most students panic here because they can't tell who's saying what and they kind of get lost. Band 9 students prepare for this part differently. They seek out debate podcasts with maybe 3 or 4 speakers discussing different academic topics. They don't just listen for information, they train their ears to differentiate between different voices, catch interruptions, and follow the flow of academic discussion. Part 4 is the most difficult. It's the final boss. It's a single academic speaker delivering complex information, normally a university-style lecture. While others struggle to follow the logic, Band 9 students have a secret weapon, TED Talks. But they don't just passively listen to TED Talks. They analyze how speakers structure their talks, listening for transition words like firstly, however, in conclusion, and they understand that academic speakers signpost each of their moves, and they've trained their ears to catch these signals. But here's the thing. Knowing what to practice means nothing if you don't understand the types of questions you'll face. There are over 10 different question types in IELTS listening. Most students have just one strategy for all of them. That's like using a hammer for every home repair. Sometimes you need a hammer, other times you need a screwdriver, other times you might need a drill. Band 9 students understand each question type tests a different IELTS listening skill. For example, multiple choice tests prediction and elimination. Map labeling tests spatial understanding and listening while thinking of other things at the same time, directions. And summary completion tests note-taking ability. They don't just practice questions, they develop specific strategies for each type. But don't worry, I've put all of these question types and a summary of the main strategies for each question type inside this helpful PDF for you. If you want this, all you have to do is just go to the description, click the link, and you can download it for free. Every single question type and full strategies for all of them. Now, this next tip might sound simple, but it's responsible for more lost marks than any other factor. This might be the most overlooked aspect of the listening test. You must maintain laser focus on the listening for 30 continuous minutes. For many of the Band 9 students that we worked with, there wasn't any problem with their listening skills or their English. It really came down to improving their focus. Imagine running a marathon without doing any training. Imagine you're very unfit like I am. That's what most students do with their listening stamina. Band 9 students use what I call the marathon method. They don't try and listen for 30 minutes on day one. Instead, maybe week 1, they just try and focus for 5 minutes. And then week 2, 10 minutes, week 3, 15, week 4, 20, and week 5, a 30-minute full practice session. Just like training for a real marathon, they build up their listening muscle gradually. They use a timer, stay completely focused, and resist the urge to check their phone or let their mind wander. And the result is on test day, 30 minutes feels easy, while other students are mentally exhausted and completely losing track. But even with perfect stamina, there's one brutal reality that destroys most students' scores. I want you to think back to when you were learning English in a classroom and you were practicing listening. The teacher probably repeated the recordings 2 or 3 times. They want students to feel like they're making progress. But this is like a parent always letting their child win at games. It feels good, everyone's happy, but it doesn't prepare them for reality. On test day, you will only hear things once, like in real life. Your university professor won't repeat themselves. Your boss probably won't repeat instructions. The airport announcement won't say the gate multiple times. They expect you to hear it first time. So Band 9 students train like this. When practicing with podcasts or YouTube videos, they never replay immediately. They listen once, answer questions, and then check. This builds the mental discipline and muscle to catch information first time. Most students complain and find this uncomfortable at first. Good. Discomfort means that it is working. It means that you are getting better. And it means on test day, you're going to feel less uncomfortable. Now, what I'm about to share might seem like it won't make any difference, but Band 9 students have reported that it makes a big difference to them, and it can often mean the difference between success and failure. This might seem simple and obvious, but Band 9 students know something most others overlook. Audio quality can make or break your score. You'll either get headphones or hear the test through speakers in a crowded room. The students that we work with will specifically book computer-based tests to guarantee headphones. Why? It's not just about volume, it's about blocking out distractions like other people coughing or the noises around you. And it delivers clearer sound directly to your ears. And it helps you maintain focus for those 30 minutes because you're more locked in. It can also reduce mental fatigue from straining to hear if it's in a big room with no headphones. If computer-based testing isn't available in your area, our Band 9 students have called the test centers to ask about the audio setup and the quality. They choose centers with the best equipment. And if the audio quality is poor on test day, they complain immediately, not after getting a low score. Really, really important. If the audio is terrible on test day, don't walk out of the test center and start complaining online to random strangers. Complain immediately after the test and get your money back, or get them to book you another test for free. But only if the audio quality was actually terrible, not because you didn't prepare properly and you just messed everything up. And this brings us to our final tip that ties everything together. The IELTS listening test and the reading test are a little bit different. Unlike the reading test, where you control the pace, you decide how quickly you go, the listening test controls you. There are no time management tricks, no shortcuts, no hacks. Band 9 students understand this brutal truth and they embrace it. Instead of looking for timing strategies, they work on becoming better at listening to English. They perfect their question strategies, which you can download here. And they build their stamina. They know the test format inside out. When you do all of this, you don't need time management. You flow with the test naturally. But here's the ultimate Band 9 advantage, the one that makes everything else easier. The listening test uses artificially clear English. Speakers talk slowly, like I'm doing right now. They pronounce everything clearly, and they pause between ideas. It's not like a real native speaker conversation. I don't speak like this to my friends. Band 9 students exploit this by training with harder material. They listen to natural speed podcasts where people interrupt each other, mumble, speak quickly. They watch movies without subtitles, and they tune into live radio debates. They do everything they can to listen to real native English speakers talking naturally, not listening to someone like me speaking very slowly. The way I describe it is like a marathon runner. A marathon runner will train at very high altitude where there's not as much oxygen. They will deliberately train in more difficult conditions. And then on race day at sea level, where it's much easier, everything becomes simple and easy to do. So I know the temptation is to listen to IELTS videos where people are speaking very clearly and slowly. Don't do that. Try and build up and listen to more and more natural native conversations. Make it as difficult as possible over time. And then test day, it's easy. But here's the brutal truth. While you've been watching this video, someone has downloaded these. They are studying them, they are taking action, they are mastering them. Watching videos is not taking action. Practicing these strategies, mastering them, applying them to practice tests, and improving and actually doing the work, that is action. Those people will get the scores that they need, get a Band 9, move on with their lives, and live in the country of their dreams. Don't watch another video and then complain later, oh, it was difficult and I got lost. If someone is giving you exactly how to get a high score and you don't take that, then that's on you. Every day you delay is another day closer to your next failed attempt, another test fee, another visa deadline missed, another throwing away money by not being in the country of your dreams. But in 5 minutes tonight, you can start building your Band 9 listening muscle. Question isn't whether these strategies work. Thousands of Band 9 students have proven they do. Question is, will you be telling your success story in a few weeks? Or will you be stuck watching more and more YouTube videos, hoping that you magically get lucky next time? Download the PDF, set your timer, do just 5 minutes tonight, and your Band 9 journey starts there. A journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step. But if you want our one-on-one help, click below and see if any VIP courses are available. We will guide you step by step, hold your hand, and show you exactly what to do to get a Band 9. And one last thing Band 9 students do is they prepare for the test strategically by pinpointing their weak areas and then turning those weak areas into strengths. Imagine walking into the test knowing you are guaranteed a Band 9 because you've eliminated every possible risk by understanding exactly where you could go wrong and removing any weaknesses. This video shows you exactly how to perform that strategy on your own listening ability right now. It's 100% free. Check it out. It will save you a huge amount of time and money.
We've all been there, typing, deleting, retyping. Now I use Whisperflow. I just think out loud and it creates perfect.
Right, sorry.
Imagine walking in
just one more. I think.
How can you understand 100% of IELTS listening? Today, I want to share with you some techniques that I used to develop my listening skills when I was learning English. And I believe they helped me greatly because the first time I took the exam, my overall score was 7.5, but my listening score was 9. Okay, let's get started. I call the first method listen, read, listen. So you need to find a short audio in English, about 3 minutes, and its transcript, the written text. So first of all, you listen to the recording once or twice, and you try to understand as much as you can. Then you take the transcript and you listen to the recording again while following what's been said on paper or on the screen. If a certain moment is difficult for you, please pause the recording, listen to it again. If you can't guess the meaning of a certain word from the context, you can check it up in the dictionary. Once you've done that, listen to the recording again without the transcript. And only use it if you encounter a moment where you still don't understand what's been said. Then find the transcript, read that bit, and listen to it again. And do that until you understand everything in the recording. What should you listen to? Well, if you have the official practice test from Cambridge English, I mean a book like that, then after you've taken the practice test, you can use the audio and the transcript in the book to practice. Also on YouTube, there is a channel BBC Learning English, and they have a great playlist with 3-minute news. And the transcript is written on the screen. So if you don't need it, just don't look at the screen. The second technique is to play with speed. Take a short audio and listen to it at the normal speed. And then slow it down to 0.75 or even 0.5. And suddenly you'll be able to understand much more. And then listen to it again at the normal speed and you will still be able to hear things. And after that, try to accelerate it to 0.25. They'll be speaking really fast, but you will still hear everything. This technique will really help your ears to get used to faster speech. Basically, it really matters how much time you spend listening to things in English. And I think you can spend at least an hour a day listening to English without changing anything in your routine. Do you know how? By turning boring time into listening time. When you are commuting to work or studies, when you are cooking food or waiting for someone, you could listen to an audiobook in English. For years, I thought I don't have any time to read entertaining books. But actually, I can listen to 2 books a month. So all the books you can see are what I've listened to since mid-October. That's when I discovered Audible. When you join, you get 1 book for free. And then you need to start paying monthly fee. It varies from country to country, and it includes 1 book a month. If you decide to cancel your subscription before the first payment is due, you can still keep your free audiobook. And if you decide to join Audible, please use the link in the description box below. It will allow me to earn a small commission. I'm gonna leave some recommendations for you too. 2 entertaining books and 2 self-development books read with British and American accents. Thank you for watching me today. Good luck with your preparation and your exam. Bye! IELTS listening is the best section to boost your overall score. Here are my tips. Sometimes there's a lot of information to grasp. Like when you have a map, follow the question numbers. Similarly, if you see a box with options, follow the questions underneath. It's definitely easier to answer questions if you read them before the recording begins. The test doesn't allow enough time for that. However, after each section, you get 30 seconds to review your answers. Better read the questions coming next. Familiarize yourself with different accents. Practice listening to English speakers from the UK and the USA in particular. This will boost your understanding during the test. Choose a test center that provides headphones. They will sharpen your ability to catch every detail.
Right, everyone. Hi. That's it for today. Any questions, please? Put your hands up and go off mute if you do. If not, I will see you again tomorrow, I hope. Next week, Diana is going to run some programs for you. So it will be a little bit different and a bit more interactive, I hope. All right, all. Thanks for joining. Thanks for your time. I hope you're doing okay. Cheers.